All right, get ready for a deep dive into a pilgrimage that's unlike any other. We're talking about the Vaishno Devi shrine in India, but hold on, we're not focusing on the traditional trek. Today, we're all about the helicopter route to this sacred spot.
Yeah, it's incredible how technology is kind of woven into something as old as pilgrimage, right?
Totally.
Vaishno Devi Yatra, that's the journey to the shrine. It attracts millions, like literally millions, of Hindu devotees every single year. Traditionally, it's been a 13-kilometer walk all on foot.
Well, that's a serious hike.
It is, but now with these helicopter services popping up, it's changing the whole scene. It's making it easier for more people to experience this.
That's awesome. So if anyone listening is even slightly curious about this pilgrimage, well, consider us your guides. We're breaking down the whole thing, especially how to do it by helicopter, looking ahead to 2025.
Okay, so first, let's talk about why someone would even choose the helicopter. It boils down to two things: convenience and how quick it is. Picture this, you're flying over these insane mountain views, skipping hours of walking, and reaching the shrine all fresh and ready for a meaningful experience.
Oh yeah, I see the appeal, especially for people who might find the walk a bit too much. What about the cost, though? What did this helicopter option set people back in 2024?
So in 2024, a one-way helicopter ticket from Katra to Sanjichat, that's about 25 US dollars, around 2100 rupee. A round trip, double that, about 4200 rupee, which is like 50 bucks. And get this, families traveling with babies, kids under 2, they fly free.
That's a pretty sweet deal for families. But of course, these are last year's prices. For the most up-to-date 2025 costs, check out the official website. That's the Sri Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine Board. Or talk to some authorized travel agents. Don't worry, we'll link everything in the show notes.
Right, and don't wait till the last minute to book your helicopter trip. It's super popular, especially during those busy times like Navratri or summer break.
Gotcha. So where's the best place to actually book these tickets?
Easy, head to the Shrine Board's website. It's the most reliable. Pick your dates, times, and you're good to go. Once you pay, boom, e-ticket, print it out, or have it on your phone at the helipad with your ID, and you're set.
Makes sense. So let's say we've booked it and we're ready for the flight itself. Anything specific to keep in mind when prepping for the actual helicopter ride? What about packing?
Think of it like flying, but mini-sized. Only small bags allowed on board.
Ah, so no stuff in those giant suitcases.
Nope, just the essentials.
Weather probably plays a big role in all this, right?
Huge role. Helicopter flights depend entirely on the weather. Before heading to the helipad, check the forecast. Stuff like fog or strong winds can cause delays or even cancellations.
So being ready for weather hiccups is a must. What about health concerns? Anything people should consider before booking, especially if they got health issues?
Absolutely, good point. Those altitude changes can affect some people. If you have any health worries, talk to your doctor first. They'll tell you a helicopter ride is a good idea.
Definitely better to be safe than sorry. Now, let's be real. Sometimes things go sideways. What happens if a flight gets canceled? Do you get your money back?
It depends, honestly. The refund policies are all over the place. It depends on who you booked with and why it got canceled.
So, always got to read those terms and conditions.
Yep, always. Usually, if it canceled way ahead of time, you might get some money back. But if it's because of weather, it might be a different story.
Okay, so stay flexible and read the fine print. What about rescheduling? Let's say plans change and we got to move our flight. Can we do that?
Usually, yeah, you can, but call the customer support for the helicopter company. They'll know their policies, and if there are any fees.
Direct communication is key. Now, this might seem a little delicate, but it's important. Weight limits. Are there any for these helicopter rides?
It's all about safety. Weight matters a lot for helicopters. Most companies have a limit, usually around 100 kilograms, about 220 pounds per passenger.
So what happens if someone's over the limit?
Sometimes you might need to pay extra, or in some cases, you might not be allowed to fly if it's a safety issue. Be upfront about your weight when you book. That way there are no surprises at the helipad.
Honesty is the best policy, as they say. Last question on this topic. Can you book these helicopter tickets offline, or is it all online these days?
Well, booking online through the Shrine Board's website is usually best, much easier, and more likely to have spots open. But you can sometimes book offline right there at the Katra helipad counter.
So it's there, but online seems safer, especially during busy times.
Exactly.
Perfect. We've tackled the common questions, but before we move on to the helicopter ride itself, let's dig a little deeper into the whole Vaishno Devi Yatra. What makes this pilgrimage attract so many people every year?
It's more than just going somewhere. It's deeply spiritual, something that connects with people from all walks of life. It's dedicated to Vaishno Devi, a manifestation of the Hindu mother goddess. People believe it's a place of immense power, a place for blessings.
Wow, it must be quite a sight to see millions of people on this journey.
Oh, it's incredible. The whole atmosphere is electric. Everyone's so devoted. You can feel the collective energy. Lots of people believe the journey itself, however you do it, is a transformative experience. It's a time to look inward, connect with faith, find some spiritual peace.
Sounds like a truly enriching experience. You mentioned earlier that the helicopter service has made the pilgrimage easier for more people. How has this new way of traveling changed the traditional parts of the pilgrimage? Has it changed the overall experience?
That's the million-dollar question, right? There's actually a debate about it, even among the pilgrims. Some folks think the physical challenge of the trek, the endurance, all of that is really important for spiritual purification. They say the helicopter makes things easier, but maybe skips over that crucial part.
So some people feel like an easier journey, while helpful for some, might take away from that feeling of accomplishment, of spiritual growth that comes with pushing through physical challenges.
That's one side of it. But others say the helicopter actually makes the spiritual experience even better. They argue that saving your energy means you can be more focused on the spiritual aspects when you get to the shrine.
Wow, it's fascinating how technology and tradition clash sometimes. It seems like there's no right or wrong answer, just different ways of seeing the journey. We've covered a ton in this first part: booking, costs, weather, and even the cultural meaning of the Vaishno Devi Yatra.
We've laid some serious groundwork.
In part two, we're getting into the helicopter experience itself. We're going to describe what it's like at the helipad, the safety stuff, and of course those mind-blowing views as you fly over the Himalayas. All right, welcome back to our deep dive into this awesome Vaishno Devi helicopter pilgrimage.
Yeah, in part one, we got into all that nitty-gritty booking stuff, the cost, and some of the cool cultural stuff around this trip.
Right, so now let's switch gears. Imagine you've got your tickets, your bags are packed, and you're at the helipad, ready for takeoff.
It's exciting, isn't it? All that anticipation.
Absolutely. So for anyone who's never been on a helicopter, can you paint us a picture? What's it like when you get to the helipad?
Okay, so picture this. The helipad, usually in Katra, is bustling. People everywhere. You want to get there early, like at least an hour before your flight.
An hour? Why so early?
Trust me, being on time is key for a smooth ride. That extra hour lets you check in, go through security, and listen to those important pre-flight briefings.
Gotcha. Checked in through security, now we're waiting. What's next?
Usually there's a waiting area. You might even see helicopters taking off and landing, just to get you even more pumped.
I bet that gets the adrenaline going. Is getting on a helicopter like boarding a plane, or is it different?
It's way more, well, personal. The helicopters for these pilgrimages are smaller, just for a handful of people. The ground crew guides you to yours. You climb in, buckle up, and get ready to fly.
Okay, engines are worried, we're lifting off. What should we expect?
Safety first, always. The crew is going to give you the rundown on all the safety stuff, how to use everything, what to do if something happens.
Right, safety is crucial. But let's be real, we're up here for those views too. What can we see as we climb higher?
Get ready to be amazed. As you rise above everything, you get this panoramic view of the whole Himalayan range. It's incredible. Lush green valleys, those rugged mountain peaks. You might even spot the shrine itself come up there.
Whoa, that sounds seriously breathtaking. I get why so many people choose this option, even if it costs a bit more. It's more than just getting there. It's part of the whole experience. So does the helicopter actually land at the Vaishno Devi shrine?
Not directly. It lands at Sanjichat, about 2.5 kilometers away from the main shrine.
Oh, okay. So close, but not quite door to door.
Right, but it saves you a ton of walking. From Sanjichat, you can walk the rest of the way. It's a pretty easy path, or you can take a pony ride.
I bet those pony rides are pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's a fun way to soak up the local culture and experience the mountains. You'll see other pilgrims, locals doing their thing. It's all part of the vibe.
Sounds like a really immersive experience. So we've reached the shrine, spent some time there, now we're ready to head back. Do we need to book another helicopter ride?
Well, did you get a one-way or a round-trip ticket? If it's a round trip, the same helicopter usually waits for you at Sanjichat to fly you back to Katra.
Ah, that makes sense. Does the return flight take the same path, same views?
Usually, yeah. But here's the cool thing about helicopters. Even if it's the same route, it can look completely different depending on the time of day, the light, the weather. Don't tune out on the way back. You might see something new you missed before.
That's so true. It's a good reminder to stay present and appreciate every moment, even on the way back. Okay, we've talked about all the practical stuff, but what about the emotional and spiritual side? How do you think this whole helicopter thing affects the pilgrimage experience as a whole?
That's a good question. It's something people debate, even among themselves. Some feel like the physical challenge of the traditional trek, the effort, the sacrifice, it's part of the spiritual cleansing process.
Like they say, the journey is the destination.
Exactly. But for some people, the helicopter's a way to save their energy and arrive at the shrine feeling refreshed and more open to the spiritual side of things. It frees them up to focus on prayer, meditation, connecting with their faith.
So the same journey can have different meanings for different people. It's all about finding what works for you and respecting others' choices. We've talked about the amazing views, but what about the noise? Are helicopters loud inside? Can you have a conversation or enjoy some quiet time during the flight?
Yeah, that's a good point. Helicopters can be noisy, but the ones they use these days, especially for these pilgrimages, are designed to be quieter. They usually give you noise-canceling headphones too, which helps a lot, creates a more peaceful atmosphere.
That's good to know. It'd be a bummer to miss out on the mountain piece because of engine noise.
Totally agree. The whole point is to make the experience better, not take away from it.
All right, so we've covered arriving at the helipad, boarding, flying over the Himalayas, and landing at Sanjichat. We even talked about the flight back and how it might feel different.
And we touched on how this modern way of traveling might change the spiritual experience, how different people see it.
In part 3, we'll answer some of those frequently asked questions about the helicopter service and give you some final tips for getting the most out of your Vaishno Devi pilgrimage, whether you choose to fly or trek. Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into the Vaishno Devi helicopter pilgrimage. We've covered so much ground, from booking and costs to the actual helicopter ride, even the cultural and spiritual side of this incredible journey.
And now let's tackle some of those common questions, the ones that pop up when planning this unique pilgrimage.
Okay, FAQ time. What's our first question?
One that comes up all the time is about the paperwork. What documents are absolutely essential for this helicopter pilgrimage?
Ah, yes, the dreaded paperwork, always so important. What do we need? Passports, visas. Give us the rundown.
Actually, it's simpler than you might think. All you need is a valid government ID, like an Aadhaar card for Indian citizens, or a passport if you're traveling internationally.
Got it. Valid ID. Check. What about when things don't go as planned? Like, what if our flight's canceled, bad weather, or something unexpected happens, right? Do we get a refund? What's the deal?
It really depends. This is where those terms and conditions come in. Refund policies are different depending on who you book with and the reason for the cancellation.
So, reading the fine print is a must.
Definitely. If you cancel way in advance, you might get some money back. But if it's weather-related, it might be a different story.
Okay, so being flexible and knowing the rules is key. Speaking of flexibility, when we need to reschedule our flight, can we do that?
Usually, yeah. But reach out to the helicopter company's customer service. They'll have the details on their policies and if there are any fees.
Always best to go straight to the source. Now, I have a question that might seem a bit personal, but it's important. What about weight limits? Is there a maximum weight for these helicopter rides?
Totally valid question. It's all about safety weights, super important for helicopters. Most operators have a weight limit, usually around 100 kilograms, which is about 220 pounds per person.
And if someone's over the limit?
Sometimes there's an extra charge. Or if it's a safety concern, you might not be able to fly. Be honest about your weight when you book. No surprises at the helipad.
Transparency is key for sure. Last FAQ for today. Can you book these tickets offline or is it all online now?
Booking online through the Shrine Board website is usually the way to go. It's easy, user-friendly, and they usually have more spots available. But in some cases, you can book offline at the Katra helipad counter.
So offline's possible, but online seems like the safer bet, especially if you're traveling during a busy time.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, we've covered some FAQs, but as we wrap up this deep dive, I'd love to hear your final thoughts. We've talked about it throughout the episode, but how do you think this helicopter travel thing affects the spiritual side of the Vaishno Devi pilgrimage? Does it make it better, or does it take away from it?
It's a tough question, and there's no one right answer. Some people believe the physical challenge of that traditional trek, all that endurance, is a big part of the spiritual journey, a way to cleanse yourself.
It's like that saying, the journey is as important as the destination, right?
Exactly. For them, maybe the helicopter skips over a vital part of the pilgrimage.
But couldn't you also say that the helicopter ride with those incredible views, that feeling of awe, could actually make the spiritual experience even deeper?
Oh, for sure. For some people, flying over the Himalayas, seeing the sheer scale of nature, the beauty of creation, it could spark a really profound connection to something bigger than themselves.
Yeah, it's like a bird's-eye view of this sacred land, humbling and awe-inspiring all at once.
Exactly. And for others, the helicopter is just a practical way to get there. It allows them to focus on the spiritual stuff at the shrine, no matter their physical abilities. At the end of the day, it's really about the pilgrim's heart and intentions, not how they get there.
That's such a great point. It's a reminder that there's no one right way to experience this pilgrimage. It's the inner journey that matters most.
Couldn't agree more. The Vaishno Devi Yatra, whether you walk or fly, has this power to touch you deeply, to leave a mark on anyone who takes it.
So to everyone listening who's thinking about this incredible pilgrimage, whether you're drawn to the traditional trek or the convenience of the helicopter, embrace the journey, be present, and let the experience unfold in its own way.
And if you do go the helicopter route, don't forget to look out that window and soak in those incredible Himalayan views. It's something you won't forget.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Vaishno Devi helicopter pilgrimage. We hope you found it insightful and maybe even inspired you a little.
And until next time, may your journeys be filled with meaning, discovery, and a deep connection to the sacred. TMAE.